Good afternoon and welcome to our last meeting of January. Invocation tonight will be given by Dr. Thompson and respect to the flag will be given by Mr. Lockridge. Please rise.
May we pray? Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for the privilege you've given us to assemble in these council chambers once more. And most of all, thank you for being in our presence. We thank you, dear God, as we deliberate the business of our city, that you give us a vision to make those decisions that are in the best interest of our community. We're very appreciative of the ones who attended tonight, both in our chambers and abroad, out of desire that our city be moved forward. We are also thankful for our administrators and staff who work hard every day for our city. We also thank you for the ones who are abroad, taking care of our nation. And we hope, dear God, that you work with them so that we would have a better place to live, to love, to work together for the good of our nation. And God, may our decision tonight teach us and take us that we will be blessed so our Lord, that we'll all live together in peace and love. These blessings we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The approval, the minutes of January 8th have been distributed. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes?
Mayor, make a motion to approve.
First by the Mayor Pro Tem,
Second.
second by Mr. Harbin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes of January 8th pass unanimously. We have one item of old business, and that item is request second reading of ordinance 2401 to revise the PDD of Plan Development District document for K-Field Farms located at Midway and Crestview Roads. Mr. McEwen.
Thank you. This item was referred to you to the Plan Commission. The Plan Commission did meet on January the 2nd and unanimously recommended approval of the request. Council approved the request on first reading at their January 8th meeting. So with that, it's come to you on second and final reading. Mr. Maurice McKenzie will go over the details of the changes requested in this Plan Development District document.
Okay, thank you. The city manager mentioned this came before you on January 8th. You approved it on first reading. Since that time, there have been no revisions made to the document. There have been no additional public comment made regarding this matter either. So it's coming to you in the same fashion that you saw it on January 8th. But just to recap a few items, this property was annexed in 2021. It's 50 acres, known as K-Field Farms. It was zoned to a PDD, Plan Development District. And since the time of annexation, the property has been sold. There's a new builder involved with the project, and they wanted to make a few tweaks to the PDD document to make their product better fit the development. So that's what they're bringing before us. And as you know, when you revise a PDD document, it goes through the same process of a rezoning. So that's what we're going through now. But just to touch on some of the highlights of the proposed revisions, one of the biggest items is that the number of lots will be reduced from 159 to 124. So that's 35 less houses, which equates to about 350 less vehicular trips per day at the development. The minimum lot sizes will be increased. The density obviously will be decreased. One of the requests that the applicant had was to make the front yard setbacks and all the setbacks for that matter consistent. In the existing PDD document, there are 3 different tiers of lot sizes and setbacks, but they wish to have a consistent front yard setback of 20 feet, rear yard setbacks of 15 feet, and also they want to increase the lot widths from the way it's listed now as between 43 and 50 feet. They wish for the minimum now to be 65 feet. And in addition to that, they want to change some of the language in other parts of the document, and those are outlined in the bullet list that you have and also in the attachment. But again, this is coming to you tonight for second reading. The applicant is here if you have any questions for the applicant as well.
Thank you. I know we talked about this several times, but the revised document we have at our last meeting, but are there any other questions or comments from council?
Mayor, I'll just say this. This is in my district, District 2. I find the revisions to be in alignment with what we're looking for in our district. I like the lower density. I like the similarities in the setbacks, and I like that we've increased the width. So with that being said, I'll make a motion that we approve.
First by Mr. Martinez, second by Mr. Roberts. Any further comments?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
One of the things that we've done in the past, and I was looking at plans, when we have an intersection and it comes into as I was looking at plans at home, there is no open area for the lights that might be shining on
The
those.
T intersection?
Yes.
That's correct. In the document, and you can see on the drawing, most of the intersections have the opening across the way. They did request to add language because I think there's one or two intersections that does not have that open space. So they plan to put the driveways and garages on that side of the T intersection. That way, if there are headlights shining, it would hit the garage's driveway rather than the body of the house.
That makes sense.
Any other questions, comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes unanimously on the second and final reading. Thank you. We have 4 items of new business, and the first item is request consideration to purchase tasers for the police department. Mr. McEwen.
Thank you. We're always improving our public safety equipment. For council, we thank you for that. It allows their job to be safer and more effective. This does allow for our strategic goal to provide a safe and secure environment for our uniformed law enforcement officers. With that, Chief Stewart will go over this request regarding the purchase of tasers from Axon.
Thank you, Mr. McEwen. This is a upgraded lease. We have done this on previous 2 terms as well. This will be for an upgrade from the Taser 8 to a Taser 10. This is a very functional piece of equipment for us in public safety. It falls into our force continuum of basically the basic of empty hand, soft hands control to using a weapon. So it falls really in that great space that we could use without having to use a weapon with someone. The newest tasers that we're looking at here are now wireless. So they work between the gun and a rubber bullet that will attach to someone. The technology is really increased as we're ending our lease. On the current taser, we would request this upgrade. As a lease, we don't actually own the product. We would pay for it yearly, and that comes with the guarantee that we have a downed taser rather than have to pay for a repair. We can just send that in, and the company will replace that and send us a new one. But this technology is something that a lot of agencies right now are upgrading to, especially as like the City of Anderson, where we're coming on our end of our 5-year lease.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions or comments? Ms. Stewart?
Chief, I remember when we first went into tasers years ago, we had, I think Councilman McKee and I came up here and took a test in that little suit you have. So with these being upgraded, is it something that the officers are going to have to get retrained on, the new technology from this upgrade versus the ones they're using right now?
Yes, sir. That is part of the requirement with Axon Taser is they will all have to be retrained again because this is new technology, something that we actually used. So they will train on that before we turn in our older tasers.
Is your specific request, though, do they have to be tased again?
No,
I think that was it.
I was gonna let you do that one, Dave.
They don't have to, they don't have to be tased again, right, Chief Stewart?
they can volunteer if they like, but, no, we shoot at a target.
So we have 57 that we're looking at. What about the?
59?
The remaining, I guess the officers we have on staff, or are we looking to replace our whole fleet for our officers, or just half of our force, or?
So the 59 comes from our uniformed personnel, so everyone in patrol, traffic, and street crimes, and the canines. Everybody that wears a uniform will get one. All the other units, we still have other tactics with our ASP baton and pepper spray, so they will still have sufficient backup weapons too.
All right, thank you.
Good. Anything else, guys?
I really think this is a wonderful thing. It's upgrading any time is good for you guys because it helps you perform your duties better.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt this purchase of the enforcement tasers.
Oh, first by Mr. Lockridge. Second by Mr. Newton. Any further discussion? How many times do you use them in the course of a year, Chief? Do you keep up with that?
Yes, sir. We actually keep up with it with our use of force reports and early warning system, and part of the new statutes and ordinances put out by the state. We probably go through a pack of 100 cartridges a year, something round about that.
Got you. Thank you. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
The next item is request consideration to purchase trucks for the Public Works Division. Mr. McEwen?
Okay, I'll give you a little history of this in just a second with Mr. Molinats, but this is a strategic goal to continue to provide high-value sanitation services. If you're in the business we're in, or the business of tractors, you'll learn that the supply chain has not been solved, and or resolved rather. And Mr. Molinats will go over this and what we've been facing. Mr. Molinats.
Thank you, Mr. McEwen. Mayor and Council, as Mr. McEwen said, we are requesting consideration to purchase 2 flatbed trucks for the sanitation department. These are the trucks that pull around the orange trailers that you see that pick up they haul away the curbside debris each day. And Council has approved the purchase of 2 F-650 trucks, one back on 6/28/2021 and one on 8/14/2023. It's been some time on these, and as it is this day and time, when you order something, it's you can expect delays, and you never know when you're going to get them. Well, in this case, we've been notified by the dealership that Ford Motor Company has since canceled these orders, and which would mean that we would have to reapply for trucks, even though we've been waiting all this time for those. So with that, we went out and looked at other manufacturers to see what was available to us. We looked at 2 different manufacturers for our chassis, and those were one was the International, and then we looked at a couple of the Mack trucks. These Mack trucks come with a Cummins diesel engine and an Allison transmission. So our maintenance staff is very familiar with these type vehicles and the maintenance on this. And so with that, we are recommending that we purchase 2 Mack MD 642 flatbeds in the amount of $259,654 from the Florence Truck Center. The estimated delivery, and that's estimated, would be July of 2024. And like I said, we would be ecstatic if we get those in July. So, but we've been assured by the dealer that they have 2 slots available for builds in April to May for these vehicles. So with that, we will make that recommendation, and myself, and I have our sanitation manager, Chris Conwell, here with us tonight. So if you have any questions for us, we'll be glad to answer those.
Thank you, Mr. Molinats. Any questions?
Just curious how much more we're spending now than what we thought we were spending a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it was right at $61,726. Yes, sir.
Different.
Good question.
So they cancel our contract and we have to,
Yeah, I'm not sure what a PO means anymore.
yeah.
And this is a purchase and not a lease. I saw we're using some lease proceeds
Right.
for it, so I just want to make sure that we are purchasing.
Correct. So we purchase all our vehicles. The lease proceeds is just the government term of financing where we do the quick 3 to 5 year, what we call lease purchase, but it's just a loan.
Just want to clarify, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Have we used Mack trucks before?
We do have some Macs in our fleet.
Is that? Okay.
Not in our sanitation fleet, but we have some in other departments.
Mr. Harvey?
So, I'm not familiar with the MD 642 or the MD 7, and the price difference is $3,000 or $2,500 between the two. What's the difference in? I mean, I assume if you're recommending the MD 642, I hope it is for the use that's going to be most useful for what you need it for. That if the MD7 is such a better vehicle, I don't know, you know, for $2,500 or $1,200 per vehicle, it's going to make, you know,
Right,
does my question make any sense?
Yeah, it does. It makes perfect sense because we tossed that around and looking at the application of it that would be more in line with the construction heavy equipment on the MD7 versus the MD6. And that 650, we felt like range was going to give us what we needed there for our day-to-day application. And it would also be in line with what we're using the F650s for as well. So it's going to have the same size engine in it. The chassis is a little beefier on the MD7 than the 6.
Good. Any other questions?
Well, just a clarification, then a comment. So Mr. Monax, you are saying that you guys are recommending the 642 because that's what you guys want, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. And then just a comment, I really want to brag on our sanitation team. I think they do a fantastic job. I actually had a constituent that reached out to me during December wanting to recognize the sanitation team for how good of a job they've done, not only picking up debris, but everything else that ends up on the side of the road. And I believe she took donuts down to that team just to recognize them. And isn't that the definition of a community, right? When you
Absolutely.
can recognize even the people that are picking up debris. So just wanted to brag on them for a minute. And I did want to echo what Mr. Harbin said. Again, I think when we're talking about prices like this, I know we have to be fiscally responsible, but I also want us to be able to select what we feel like we can get the most mileage from.
Yes, sir. And I feel like that with that MD6, we're going to get what we need out of that. Yes, sir. And thanks to your constituent, they did bring down the donuts, and our guys were very super appreciative of that for sure. And it was nice to be recognized because I think it was around Christmas when we were catching up on routes and doubling up on everything. That was really timely, and we appreciate it.
Excellent.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions?
Mr. Mayor, with that, I make a motion that we purchase 2 Mack MD 642s for the sanitation department.
First by Mr. Harvin,
Second.
by Dr. Thompson. Any other comments, questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Mullins. Our third item of new business is request consideration of an ordinance to amend section 34-10C7 of the City of Anderson Sewer Use Ordinance. Mr. McEwen.
Okay, thank you. Yes, our sewer utility operates under a sewer use ordinance, and we're recommending an amendment to that tonight. Mr. Scott Banks will go over that in just a minute. This does allow for a strategic goal of assuring sustainable growth by pursuing long-term infrastructure projects and maintaining sewer treatment capacity. That's what we're talking a bit about tonight, but about a discharge to our system. So, Mr. Banks.
Thank you, Mr. McEwen. As was stated, we govern our industries that discharge to us via pretreatment permits, which are spelled out in our sewer use ordinance. In that sewer use ordinance, under the pretreatment section, we have specific limits of ranges for all the parameters that are discharged to us. In this case, what we're coming to you tonight for to ask for that to be amended to give us a little bit of more of a leeway when we're writing those permits, when it is of a benefit to the city. In this case, the particular case that's before us is we have an industry that their pH is slightly higher than what that definitive limits in the sewer use ordinance have. But in this case, at the volumes that they are discharging to us, that additional, that higher pH actually helps us reduce the amount of chemical we have to put in at the plant to alter the pH to where we're discharging within our limits. And next to, its chemicals are probably our third highest cost, just behind water or just behind power and water, and then chemicals are about a third. So, like I said, this would allow staff to have a little bit more flexibility on a case-by-case basis when it's of a benefit to the city. Thankfully, there is no cost to this. Actually, it's a savings to the city if implemented. And with that, we're recommending the approval of the first reading of the amendment to Section 34-10 C7 of the Sewer Use Ordinance to allow staff to vary from standard pretreatment permit language when it is in the best interest of the city and the operation of the wastewater treatment plant.
Thank you, Mr. Banks. Any questions, comments? Mr. Roberts.
Mr. Banks, this is pH only that they're failing to meet the parameters.
Yes, sir.
Correct?
That's correct. All others are well within their limits, and so this is the only. But we would the language would allow us case by case on other industries too for other parameters. But in this case, this is the only parameter that particular industry is requesting a variance on.
Right, and of course it is beneficial to the city because we don't have to further alter the pH.
Yes, sir. That's
We're
correct.
Contributing toward that.
Any other comments, questions?
Just trust his opinion on this one. It's a little bit, just a tad bit outside of my scope.
What's the- What do you anticipate the cost savings be?
The cost savings, that's what we all like. And the other thing is if their volume were to increase,
We would adjust the permit at that point in time to where it still would be at our benefit, not to the industry.
yes, sir.
Cool. Any other questions, comments?
Make a motion to approve.
First by the Mayor Pro Tem,
Second.
second by Mr. Lockridge. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes unanimously on the first reading.
Thank you.
The last item of new business is request consideration of a resolution to authorize the execution of a contract to convey real estate located at the corner of Murray Avenue and Franklin Street. Mr. McEwen?
Thank you. We'll go over the details of this in just a second. However, this is a project that does advance the quality of life, assures sustainable growth, and attracts partners by providing the highest level of service to citizens, businesses, and visitors, aligned with our strategic goal. We did have a work session January the 3rd, January the 8th, and tonight, just before the meeting, January the 22nd. Ms. Haley Thompson will go over this item for you.
Thank you. So in 2010, the City of Anderson, we completed a neighborhood revitalization implementation plan that established a framework for redevelopment in neighborhoods throughout the city. The city's property located on the corner of Franklin Street and Murray Avenue was identified in the plan as an opportunity for large-scale infill development that would provide housing and a stronger link between the West Side residential community and downtown. In March of 2022, staff published a request for proposals, an RFP for the purchase and development of the property. The RFP called for highly qualified developers with experience in residential and mixed-use projects to propose a concept that would incorporate forward-thinking approaches to urban design, expand Anderson's housing options, and create a pedestrian-oriented transition to downtown. Prestwick Development, a Georgia-based multifamily development company, submitted a proposal to purchase the property with a concept that aligns with the city's strategic goals for the site. The proposal features 80 workforce housing units that would support Anderson's growing housing demand. Staff recommends that the resolution be approved for the execution of the contract to convey the property to PDC Land Acquisition, LLC, otherwise known as Prestwick Development. I'm happy to answer any questions, and we also have Sarah Neiman, who is here with us tonight representing the Prestwick Development Team, if you have any questions for her.
And I will add one more thing too. This is a $25 million investment.
Thank you. Questions, comments? I know we just came out of work session, we talked about it, but anything further to discuss? Comments?
I feel really
Ms.
good
Stewart?
about this. And
Dr. Thompson, go ahead.
I see us moving forward. I hope we continue to move forward. So unless there are questions, I would like to pass a resolution for the execution of this contract.
We have a first by Dr. Thompson,
Second.
second by Mr. Lockhart. Ms. Stewart?
I just want to, make sure, there've been a lot of monies over the years put towards this development, and just want to make sure at the end of the day, should we get funded, which I hope that we do, I think it's a great project, but if something happens down the road where this council or next council decide that, hey, this is not the concept that we want to see, do we have the ability to walk away as a council, or are we obligated, once we pass this, regardless of what happens, that we've got to sell this property? Just want to make, just for clarity.
So it will be passed by ordinance as part of the process, according to state law. And there are several benchmarks throughout the contract that allow the purchaser, or the contract will be terminated if they do not receive the tax credit. So there are a lot of safeguards for, the city of Anderson. But if all of those are met, it is the understanding of this contract that the closing will happen around the closing date.
So if they're funded, do we have to sell the property, or are there parameters after the funding that has to be met where if we can't come to some type of agreement that we can walk away?
Right, so because you all would have to approve this by ordinance as a second step in the process, that would be a safeguard approval.
Any other comments, questions?
Mayor?
Mr. Roberts. Mr. Roberts.
One clarification, a point of clarification. This includes the parcel bounded by West Franklin, South Murray, South Tower, or West Tower,
Johnson Street.
and Johnson, that block, not the parcel across Johnson, correct?
That's correct.
Correct. That the parcel across on Johnson Street was included within the RFP. Prestwick Development Company opted not to include that in their proposal, as they didn't need it for their site plan. So it does not include those parcels across Johnson Street.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Got a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That resolution passes unanimously. Thank you. Mr. Lockhart, you have the floor.
Thank you, sir. I'm not going to take long to say what I have to say.
Take your time.
What I'm about to say is difficult. I have been on city council and love serving the people throughout the entire community. During this period, I have seen so many changes in the city. And I really honestly can't say that there's any bad changes. The only changes I've seen are for the better. The city has been growing, expanding, and increasing in every category you can name. And I'll be honest with you, this is due to our staff, and they've done a heck of a job. It's due to our mayor. I appreciate all he's done. Our city council that works together. We might not always agree, but we work together. And the thing about it is they care about what happens to Anderson and the city of the people in Anderson. But due to circumstances that I cannot control, I will not be running for Ward 6 City Council seat during this election season. I know that there are many people who want me to continue with my seat. I've been asked to do so, but there are some very good Anderson citizens in my precinct that are highly capable of running and will make a fine city council member. In the Bible, it says, there's a time for everything. This is my time to let my council seat go and pass it along to another person. Thank you, City of Anderson. Thank you, council members. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, city staff. Thank you, personnel, and the citizens of Anderson. We have some great people in this town, and I'm very proud that I've had the opportunity to serve them. To my constituents in Ward 6, please listen carefully and pay attention to the people that may be running for the city council seat. You have the power and authority to elect a person who can make a difference in our community. Please elect someone who really cares about what happens in our ward and throughout our community. Again, thank you, citizens of Anderson, for the wonderful opportunity to serve you. It was a fabulous experience that I will always remember. I hope that my time on council has made a difference for you. It certainly has made a difference in my life. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rick. You'll be missed. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Before we do that, looks like we have some kids taking notes. You guys must have been scouts. Homeschool. Scouts? What troop were you in? 2. Thank you for coming. And thank you for coming and taking us in homeschool. Appreciate it. I don't think you're the first homeschool that's ever done that.
I
so.
think that's
Yeah, very good. Yes, sir. Appreciate it. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. First by Mr. Stewart.
Second.
Second by Mr. Lockridge. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We stand adjourned.